Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about Rob Marshall's new 2023 remake of the Disney classic The Little Mermaid. Um, this film stars Halle Bailey as the new Ariel. There is obviously some new changes, some expanded material for the story, and obviously the big obvious difference is this is done in live action instead of animation this time around. So for those of you who don't know the story of The Little Mermaid, basically it's about a mermaid named Ariel that lives under the sea, and she has a big fascination with humans. She's always trying to learn about the above ground world and try to figure out what humans are like and things like that. And she really kind of, this fascination kind of goes into full swing when she meets a guy named Prince Eric who always is at sea on a ship, and he has people that follow him, and he's a part of a royal family and all this stuff that would really intrigue Ariel to want to learn more about humans even more. So her big break comes when one of Eric's ships one day at sea kind of goes a wreck, and it's on fire, and they need to evacuate the ship and get people to shore and all that good stuff. And so when Ariel brings Eric to shore, they kind of immediately start kind of falling in love with each other. He loves her singing voice, and she wants to be with him and all this other stuff. But King Triton, who's Ariel's father, refuses for her to basically have any kind of relationship with any human at all. So her big break once again comes again when Ursula the Sea Witch basically gives her this opportunity to become human, and this gives her the opportunity to go to the above ground world and kind of become, boyfriend girlfriend with Eric for once and for all. And but the twist, of course, is that upon getting legs from Ursula, she only has 3 days to basically win Eric's heart. Has to basically kiss him out of true love. And if the 3 days are up and the kiss has never happened, she's back in the water for good, and she belongs to Ursula at that point. And so over the course of this movie, she has to win Eric's heart over the course of 3 days. She has to do it without a voice, but she has legs to be able to walk around above ground as well. And obviously, there's the whole thing with her and her father and gaining his trust back and being able to live her life without just living on King Triton's rules. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this remake a lot. Obviously, I think the original Little Mermaid, I think, will always be in the hearts of everybody. I think everybody will always have that as their favorite version of the Little Mermaid, with Jodie Benson obviously voicing Ariel at the time. But this is a very good remake. This is definitely a remake where they kept kind of like what Guy Ritchie did with Aladdin a couple years ago. This remake contains just all enough of the stuff that you like and enough of the stuff that you want to remain in the story, while also kind of exploring new things, trying out new things. And obviously, some of those new things work really well. Some of them didn't, so we'll get into that in my negatives in a little bit. But for the most part, this remake is very strong, and there's a lot of things about it that I really, really like, and highly encourage more people to see this movie for this reason. So for my positives of this movie, you guys, Haley Bailey first and foremost really is a superstar in this movie. She completely rocks as the role of Ariel. She is amazing. Her singing voice is absolutely amazing. I like that she made the Ariel character her own. Just a really fantastic performance, but really a lot of charm. Even her giggle and her smile and the way she interacts with other characters definitely is in the spirit of Ariel, the way that Jodie Benson once played it back in 1989. And I just really like seeing her as this character. It was just a lot of fun, and I really hope to see Halle Bailey in more films here pretty soon. I know she's going to be in the remake of The Color Purple here at the end of the year, but I hope she's in even more than that, because I really think she's very good as an actress and has an amazing singing voice, and really kind of just made this role her own. So huge thumbs up to Halle Bailey. She really made this role her own, and I respect her a lot for that. There's also a lot of scenes going back to Halle Bailey where there's a lot of scenes where she doesn't have a voice because Ursula took it away. And what's really impressive about her performance to me, once again going back to the positives, is she's able to do a lot with very little. There's just a lot of scenes where she's not able to speak, but she has to basically use facial expressions and movement and um, being able to just kind of interact with Eric without having to actually interact with Eric while forming this relationship, trying to get that kiss over 3 days. And what's just really impressive to me is kind of like what Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton had to do in the silent film era. If my voice doesn't go out either, but is she basically has to do things like what Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton had to do, where do a performance without a voice, do everything by, movement and facial expressions, and do things that basically a lot of people in the silent film era had to figure out over the course of their careers. And Halle Bailey does it over the course of one movie. So I thought that was just really impressive to me. She's able to emote so much with so little, and it was just extremely impressive to me. Probably some of the best scenes in the movie just because of how much he's able to evoke with emotion over the course of these scenes. Alan Menken, who did the score of the original Little Mermaid, he returns here. A lot of his traditional music also returns here. There's even a new song that Eric sings that I thought was pretty good. It's about his wanting to get to know Ariel, because at this time in the movie, she's basically still a mystery girl. He's still trying to figure out who Ariel is, and they add a new song, kind of showing this and how Ariel's kind of the only person he feels that he can really truly fall in love with. But Alan Menken's score is very good here. He obviously has some new stuff here, but the fact that his traditional music has stayed in touch for the most part, and they added a couple new songs that for the most part work. We'll get into my negatives here in a little bit, but the fact that most of his score has stayed intact for this remake I thought was also very strong. Davad Diggs, who does the voice of Sebastian this time around, extremely good. A friend of mine who I saw the movie with basically said he kind of stole the show, really, and he kind of did because he really is a very strong version of Sebastian. Has a great sense of humor, tons of energy, tons of fun interactions with other characters. It just sounds like he had a really fun time playing this character, which is always a good thing in a movie. And there was really some other great performances here. We had Javier Bardem as King Triton. I thought Melissa McCarthy was very strong as Ursula. And of course, I think his name was Jonah Hauer-King, who played Eric in this movie. I know Harry Styles, Disney really, really wanted him to play the role, but they got Jonah Hauer-King instead, and he really was very good in this role as well. And just tons of great performances all around, and definitely a film where performances are very strong, and the singing performances are also very strong from the cast as well. And I know a lot of people didn't like this part of the movie, but I thought a lot of the underwater scenes were also very strong in this movie. I just like how colorful and vibrant and how energetic the movie was. It just had a very colorful color palette for the movie. Whether that was a color correction choice or just colors that they managed to achieve on set while filming the movie. I thought all of that was very strong. Yeah, sorry, my voice is kind of going out again. So the underwater stuff, like I said, is very strong. The film's color palette is very good. Just really impressive overall, and really enjoyed the underwater scenes. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought a lot of the underwater stuff was very strong in this movie. For my negatives of The Little Mermaid, though, some of the shots feel a little too close to the main talents, and maybe just because I saw it on an IMAX screen. I don't know if anybody else on a regular screen or when they watch this at home is going to have the same issue, but a lot of the shots just feel like it's too close to the main talent. It doesn't really give us a chance to absorb the background, absorb the setting that they're in, just because the camera just decides to be so close to the actors sometimes. And it gets better in the second half of the movie, but in the first half in particular, there's just so many shots where the film just doesn't let us take a back seat and kind of just absorb some of the settings that we're in. So like if Eric's on the ship and trying to fix something on the ship, it's just so focused on the thing that's actually happening that we don't get to see everything else that's going on. So I don't know if that was a budgeting choice. I don't know if that was just because there was a lot of artificial sets that they were working with and the green screen effects just weren't up to par at the time that they filmed it. But however, whatever cinematography choice this was to just have it super, super close onto the main talents and not unlike everything else around them. Like I said, it gets better. There's definitely a lot of shots where we do get to kind of absorb the settings around everybody else, but there's just a lot of shots where it's just a little too close to the talents that it just didn't quite work for me sometimes. Some of the new songs also don't completely work. One that in particular that I really did not like was this one that Scuttle sings. It's kind of like a rap song, and it's at the point in the movie where they're trying to inform Ariel that Ursula is basically this Vanessa character that's trying to win Eric's heart instead. And so they try to do it in a rap song, and Davad Diggs gets rapped into it too with Sebastian. And it just didn't really work for me. It's just one of those things where I really just would have preferred information was told to us rather than through a song again. So there's just a lot of moments like that where certain song choices don't completely work. Another thing that didn't work for me either is on the part where Ariel's mute in the movie. They try to make a song for her where she's singing it in her imagination, and it doesn't really work just because she is mute, and it's really trying to because she did such a great job evoking and emoting so many things without a voice. I thought they could have played into that even more. So the fact that they had to do a song for that moment, I thought kind of ruined that element of the movie a little bit. So there's just certain choices like that, certain creative choices that weren't I wasn't completely in love with, but it is what it is. There's also a lot of other creative choices that I wasn't completely on par with this movie either. One of them being that the eels don't speak at all. They did speak in the original animated movie. They for some reason they don't speak at all in this movie. Chef Louis is not even in the film at all. So for those who are looking for him from the original animated movie, they don't even use him at all in this movie. And there's just a lot of weird creative choices like that throughout the movie that are just a little odd that I think they could have done a better job with. But just the fact that the eels didn't speak, I thought was a little unusual. And we also kind of get to see more of Ariel's siblings in this, her mermaid siblings. And I thought they could have played into that a little bit more. They don't really get a lot to do. I know they didn't get a lot to do in the original animated movie as well, but they pop up every once in a while. They pop up at the end as well, and it's just they're just kind of there. They don't really get a lot to do, and it just would have been kind of interesting to see what the roles that the mermaid siblings had with Ariel, rather than just being the siblings, and that's really kind of all the film gives them. But overall, I'm going to give this new Little Mermaid a 9 out of 10. It's just a really spectacular movie. There's just tons of things to love about it. Halle Bailey really is a great Ariel in this, and I really hope she pops up in more movies. And like I said, Devad Diggs as Sebastian was also a huge highlight for me as well. A couple of problems along the way, like I mentioned in my negatives, but this is a terrific remake. It's a terrific movie overall. So if you love The Little Mermaid, the original, and you want to see a different take on it that's also happens to be really strong, this is a really great way to go. So I highly recommend seeing The Little Mermaid, the 2023 remake. 9 out of 10 for me. I highly recommend seeing it.